This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very, very good morning, and most of all, welcome to the beginning of the morning safari. This is Sydney Pumurani Mikosi, and I'm traveling with my camera operator Senzo. We are both going to try by all means and get you see interesting animals this morning. The weather is on our favor, it's overcast, and when the weather is like this, the possibilities of seeing quite a lot of animals are very much high. For in case if you need our attention, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive. You can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. I have already spotted some tracks on the ground. There was a single male lion here walking around earlier this morning. I can see the tracks are not that very much old. This is showing that this lion has been here. So it's just that here now I can see it's not clear for you to see it through the camera, but on the ground I can see that this track looks very much fresh. Yes, yesterday we heard one of the lions making some roar while we were doing the late afternoon game drive. Maybe this is the one. But my plan this morning is to go and check the Triple M first, just to see if the Unkuhumas are not yet back in the property, and then come back to Hosanna. We will try and check Hosanna in the property as well. So the tracks we are seeing on the ground here of this single male lion are also heading much more towards where my interest is this morning, which is much more towards the eastern side of the game reserve. And a very good morning again to those who are sending me the comments about this wonderful morning. There has been quite a lot of movements here last night for the hyenas. It's just that the hyenas in the morning, they are not reliable because they've got to go and forage and they travel long distances in search of food. If we start following their tracks now, we might end up driving around the whole game reserve because they divide the responsibilities and they just cover these whole areas. But sometimes hyenas are helpful when looking for these big pretty... Oh, elephants are crossing. Look at that, right in front of us. Oh, crossing very quickly. So you can see them there on a distance. Look at that with the baby. Oh, it's quite a big head. Oh. Where are they going now? These elephants are running away like this. Maybe something irritated them somewhere this side, because I can see these elephants are not settled at all. They are on a convoy, looking very much temperamental at the moment. I can even see the other one at the back. They're listening now. So the ears on these animals can collect quite a lot of sound. Elephants can hear very well from long distances. So the one at the back you can see has got some kind of secretion on the side of the head. It is a sign that this elephant has been stressed. We are not too sure what has happened, but I can promise you something has happened here. And every time you see the elephants, treat the elephant as an animal which has been provoked before you, because you don't know what happened, and they can sometimes retaliate on you because of something that has happened before you have arrived. Oh, I can hear now they are even doing this kind of non-verbal communication there. So they are waving the ears, and I can hear also this stomach grumbling like... So this is not directly coming from the stomach. Let me show you how they do this kind of a noise. The kind of noise is coming from this special pouch. There's something called a spharengia pouch here, which is used by the elephants in order to collect water when they're walking long distances. It's one of those animals which has got the ability to regurgitate water. That part is the one which amplifies that kind of a sound you hear. It's coming from here. So those elephants just got disappeared. They went deep in this side, so I'm not gonna bother them too much because I can see already they're stressed. We might be lucky and come across a different herd. Here I can smell. Carl, the avokas, maybe now they must be on their last days of mating, or you might find that they are done already, because mating just takes about 5 to 6, sometimes 7 or more consecutive days. So it is quite a huge responsibility for the male to mate plenty times for about 5 to 6 consecutive days. And if you can check, the amount of rounds in 5 to 6 consecutive days can be more than 250 times. That is quite a lot. So here, where I am, I can be able to pick up some of the fresh grasses. It shows that animals has been feeding here maybe towards early this morning. You know, the animals, when they are feeding on these grasses also produce kind of an aromatic scent with chemicals to communicate about the animals feeding on them. So when following the scent from the grass, you can also find some of the animals. So while I am moving much more towards the southern side to see if the unkuhumas are in the property or not, let's go to Steve, who is just about to kickstart.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another bushwalk here in Niconico Sands with myself, Steve. I'm joined on camera finally for a very long time, Sebastian Rombi. It is wonderful to be out in the African wilderness again on foot, and it is a beautiful overcast morning, as Sydney has told you. We are going to see if we can maybe give Sydney a hand with these tracks. And we've just come out, we're walking along, we'll see if we can pick up on the tracks, get an idea of where they're going. Obviously we'll use the radio to communicate, but then along the way we've got all sorts of grasses and plants and flowers to talk about this morning. My bag is full of all sorts of wonderful things, and let's see what we're going to get up to today. But wouldn't it be nice to find some lions? And also bearing that, we might also go follow up on the little chief that was over there last night. I don't know where he's going to have gotten to, but let's go out and enjoy ourselves. Please feel free to send your questions, hashtag SafariLive, or your comments as well. Just throw them in on the YouTube chat stream. We'd love to hear from you. Anything specific you'd like to talk about? I haven't been out on foot when it's been this green since last year, so it's going to be quite nice to be out and be able to see all the little things. So there's not a specific plan, but there's lots of plants that I've got in mind, but I have to find them first. So we're going to continue doing that, and what a beautiful day it is. Overcast, as we said. There is apparently 200 mils of rain reported over the next couple of days. We'd really like some of that. We are prepared. We spent yesterday working on the garages, trying to fix and rainproof them so that the vehicles don't get wet. They're not 100% fixed yet, but, well, a lot of effort was put in and the concept is now there, so we are looking good. So bring on the rains, Mother Nature. We are ready for you. But we're going to continue on through the open here. We're going to find those tracks that Sydney has seen and see if we can get a relative direction as to where they've gone. But isn't it marvelous to be out in this open area? Not so long ago, this area was just completely devoid of any life. You'd walk through here and nothing was going on. It's amazing how all these forbs just come back again. This one in particular being a very easily recognizable one as it creeps along the ground. You can see it's quite a big creeper. This is the large-leafed devil's thorn, and these leaves here, very soapy to the touch. If you add a bit of water there, if I add some water to this, this turns into a very soapy lather. Let me get a little bit of water there. Look at that. Very viscous, very sticky, and with a little bit of base, so maybe some lavender or some wild basil, you can make a very nice soap out of this. Well, now that we have washed our hands and we are clean and ready for the walk, let's go and see what we can find. Oh, Oh, Heather, I'll see if I can find a plant that can do something with blood sugar. It's not something I've really found so far. Diabetes, I suppose, is the term, isn't it? There are a couple. Let me have a little look at my book of tricks and see if we can find something that fits that line. Well, we'll start off with a wildflower. We've got two beautiful wildflowers right here. Here, this little beautiful one over here. I think I did this before I went on leave. It's a beautiful blue Mickey Mouse ears, Commelina, also known as the Wandering Dew. I did a very nice demonstration of how you can get a little eye drop out of this to clean the dust. So now we have clean hands, clean eyes, and well, Sydney Fumalana Mkosi, he has stopped to look at a beautiful impala.
That stick. So, you can see that I have got the impalas here, and these ones, they look still very young at the moment, but I can see they are copying from the adults as they're starting to chase each other, and they're also pushing each other. So they are part of quite a very big bachelor herd I saw when I got here. It's just that the big ones, they're just running everywhere in the area. There's even, say, away from this bachelor herd, there is a very big herd of a breeding herd as well. So at this stage, it's not important for the males to form the bachelor herd, because these kind of bachelor herds, they are much more active during the May season. That is, then you will find them working together, trying to corner females, to reintroduce some of the lost families, some to start or to establish their families for the first time. So it's interesting to see that impalas, the bachelor herd, is consisted of the old males which has been defeated on the old territories, together with the young males which have not started mating yet. So these ones who has been defeated are the ones now who are becoming role models of the young stars. Imagine learning from the losers. But it works. They don't mind, and they learn all these different kind of strategies in order to fight and take over the families. So a social structure of the impala, it is a head, and it's called a harem. A harem is whereby you are going to have one male in charge of several females. The largest head of impala I've counted, Shana Impala, I am with you. It's quite a lovely animal. They are lovable. If you look at the structure of the impala, flexible structure, which is well designed for them to jump and run fast. They've got nice coloring, three body colors which divide this body into three-dimensional forms. You can see the socks. It's like the socks at the bottom of the hind legs. They've got these black tips which are called metatarsal gland that they can use. They can just spray it and communicate below the predator's hearing and just run. Interesting. I think impala, you're right, it's a lovable animal. It's just that it's very much common. We do see them every day, and sometimes we tend to forget how interesting these small antelopes are. So sometimes when just enjoying the impala sightings, unexpectedly, you see the big predators such as the leopards coming. That happened to me on several occasions since I have started guiding. Impalas will show you the predators that you cannot see. Jonathan, here in Juma, we only got one, but in terms of the total amount, not too sure. I know there is a black-faced impala, so I've seen it as well before, but not in the wild. I saw it in one of the breeding farms, the ones which are just black. And some of these animals will confuse you. I saw a completely bright white impala in one of the national parks called Mapungubwe, but that was a melanistic problem. So it was just the disappearance of the pigment which is responsible to give colors to this animal. I don't know if that impala is still alive. There was even a story about that impala on one of the national magazines in the country. It was something rare. So now let's quickly cross over to the Masai Mara, where the game drives are still during the dark.
Well, a very good morning to you. This morning, it's a beautiful and early morning. It's still dawn here, quite dark. Coming down, I had to use my light and spotlight. And my names are Isaac Rotich, and in the camera, it is Bungay. Our mission this morning is to try and find our hyena, and then the hyena with the cubs, and then after that, we're going to try and find you the Olololo clan and see what they have managed to do in the last about 16 hours. We did hear a lot of commotions last night down here, and I don't know exactly what happened, but let's see what's, as soon as the sun rises, let's see what's going to happen. Let me take you to the hyena den and see what's happening. It's not far from here. It's just like 100 meters. You can see right now I'm off-road. And they're actually to my right somewhere here. So I'm going to switch off the light so I don't disturb them. And we can use our special lights to illuminate where they are, and hopefully we can see them. I'm going to take a big loop over here so I don't disturb them. I can see the female is outside of the den, but I don't see the puppies. I'm going to be stopping in a moment. Yeah, there she is. I don't know if we can see her from here. Maybe if I try and move in closer a little bit. Our lights are not strong enough. It's still very dark and we don't want to use the normal lights. See that mound there? That's where she is. That's where she is. There she is. Right there. She's seated outside the den. It's still dark. It's normal for hyena females to stay outside the burrow for security reasons. Also, inside it's not as big, so it's only enough for her when she gives birth, and then after that, most of the time she'll spend the rest of the time outside. There comes the little ones. Yeah. Look at that. Always beautiful to see them playful, to see them, happy and active this time of day. I don't know what she had, the mother, but she's definitely looking. It is still quite dark here. You only... Linda, what a beautiful way to start the day. Thank you. Yeah, that was one. I hope the other one comes out and we can see the rest of the behavior. Yesterday we did see mother really concentrating on the little one. I know there is two differences between the two now. There is one with that patchy patch on her back thigh, and I'm keen to see what is transpiring between the two. The mother seemed to take lots of caution and care to the smaller one, leaking, playing. So I'm still thinking she's fond of that one, but let's see when they come out. She seems a little bit wary and looking downwards. I don't know what she smells or hears. She's relaxed now. Carol? Yes, good comment. Yeah, it's rather sad. But these are, times that we need to do more study on these guys, because this is a rather interesting separation that I've never seen myself. A lone female hyena with her cubs all by herself. I don't know how she's surviving. But I'm hoping that she's gonna end up being joined by either a male which might be the first one to get attracted by her. And then we're gonna keep following them and find out what's gonna happen. But you never know, she could end up going back to her, which is the Olololo clan, and mingle with the rest of the clan. So we actually don't know exactly what's transpiring in her mind and in this clan. But it's, we are here and we're going to keep you updated. Remember to live stream on YouTube at SafariLive. Yeah, as I continue staking out this beautiful den, I'm gonna take you down to Steve with some more tracks on the road.
Welcome back from the Mara. I hope you managed to get some wonderful views of those little hyena cubs this morning. Well, we've found tracks of at least 2 male lions. Here you can clearly see the toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the back pad. It's a 3-lobe back pad, quite easily seen. This is in fact the back foot, but have a look at the size of it there. Look at the size compared to my knife. Now my knife is 10 centimeters, so that's 15 or so, and that is the front foot, the back foot. The front foot is actually here, and it's not easily seen. It's quite messy in the sand. Here is the back pad. I'm going to draw it out for you. And here is the toes. Now, characteristic of male lions when they walk is that they hit the ground quite hard. So their front track is always very, very messy. It's almost like a male leopard and a male lion when they walk. They kind of slap the ground with their foot as they go, rather than putting it down and lifting it, leaving a very nice mark. Males do that to basically just show the world how big and strong they are. I'm not sure what Dances with Wolves said there, but very, very beautiful tracks. But we've got 1 male, maybe 3. I think we've got 2 tracks definitely here. Kitty, that is Dances with Jet. That is a huge. I mean, look at the size of that thing. That is big. But behind us here, we have got probably the reason why why the lions are moving through. Here we've got a beautiful buffalo track, quite easily seen. Here is one back hoof. Here is a front hoof. Very, very big. Can you see how large that is there? It's a big hoof. And I can tell you that it's a male because it's an old male. Because over here, poor grumpy old fella has gone and practically pooed himself. As you see over here, this is why buffalo are so grumpy and so difficult to spend time with on foot, because, well, they need a nappy and they're quite grumpy fellows. Well, it seems like we're blocking up the section over here. We've got a couple individuals over here that want to get past, so we're going to let them go. Come, sitters, sit there. Okay, he's having a long chat over there with Pat, so we're going to continue on. We're going to get off. We just found these really nice tracks. We're trying to help everybody find them. There was one more track I wanted to show you there while we wait for Sydney to go past, because this is my coolest and favourite track in the whole wide world. I've just lost my stick. Here's the toes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the pad. This is a honey badger. There's the claws. Hello, good morning. Good morning, how are we doing? Okay, I hope you have a good morning. We've got a couple lion tracks here. Buffalo going that way. So where did you lose? Did you have tracks outside, sitters?
The tracks are coming all the way from Viotola Access,
okay,
from the Galago shortcut.
Okay.
And we just saw a single track,
Okay.
male coming this way.
Okay, there's at least two males here. And we'll try to follow them. You carry on to the pan, and we'll see you later. Have a beautiful morning. Quickly find you. Sometimes it's quite tricky actually to see. That's Lexi, our social media expert. She's moving to Johannesburg today, so this is her last opportunity to get out and drive and do some social media sort of stuff this time around anyway. Where is my honey badger? It's here. There we go. Okay, so sometimes it's quite tricky to see the foot, but if you have a look at the toes over here, the toes, they're the toes over there. and the claw marks are all the way up here. Look at how far ahead of the toes they are. Porcupine claws are quite close to the toes, and that's sometimes the best way to identify them. But you can see the track there, the size starts there to there. Quite big, quite long, and well, they're never moving very slowly, the honey badger, but with those very long claws. If you saw Jamie's little thing the other night finding the honey badger with the drone, you could see him digging in the termite mound very easily, no problem at all. That's what they do. They run around and feed on whatever they want to, and this time of year it's a time of plenty for everybody. So we're going to continue on down the road, just see if we can keep following on these lion tracks. They seem to be heading south along sort of past Inga's house over here. Still moving, so we're going to keep moving up because Sydney's just driven straight past us, and well, he's got a little surprise for you.
So you can see that I have got a very beautiful animal right in front of us here. Look, this is Hosana. He's looking very much healthy despite his injury on one of, look at that. Now he's trying to mark, I cannot say he's marking the territory as he doesn't have the territory yet. Let me rather say he is leaving behind a scent by these trees, which is a sign of a demarcation, yes. But so far, he is not yet the territorial holder. Animals can mark on top of the other one's territory who are coming to try and challenge the territorial holders. Let me just quickly reverse here. But at this stage, I can promise you, Hosana is not marking in order to challenge the territorial holder. So you can see that he is trying to investigate something. Maybe he's going to show us where he's going. Maybe he's going to somewhere here. Look at that. He's listening to something now. So the predators easily got fascinated by something which mostly divert their attentions. See that he's going to do the same. He's just going through these bushes, getting camouflaged, busy leaving behind the scent. So this is so beautiful. So I can smell the scent mark for Hosana from here where I am. The wind is coming towards my direction at the moment. So I'm just going to pull back so that we can improve this sighting. So it's going much more towards the quarantine area. Let me just quickly then inform the other game drivers that we have got Hosana moving much more towards the quarantine. Good morning, all stations. This is Sydney. I've got Hosana. Hosana is slowly moving towards the quarantine. So there's quite a lot of impalas by the quarantine at the moment. Megan, what a lovely question. The leopards, they become territorial mostly when they are older than 4 years. Because now you can see he's trying to leave behind the markings here against these trees. But the message which is sent by this kind of scent is not strong enough to show the level of strong strength. Normally, when they are above 4 years, is when the testosterone level is strong enough for them to start challenging the others for territorial reasons. So the leopards reach maturity when they are about 2 years. 3 to 4 years is when the level of testosterone is starting to grow. And when they're about 4 years and above is when they start challenging each other. It is not guaranteed that they are going to have a territory after 4 years. Some of them, they are even going to battle to get territories for quite a long time. So by these animals, in order to become a territorial holder, is not an easy exercise. It's associated with a very huge responsibility. So we are just going to keep following and see what is going to have when we get to the quarantine. I saw quite a lot of young wildebeest there and a lot of impalas just now. And it's moving from cover to cover. I don't know if this is part of his strategy in order to avoid detection by the animals there. You can see now, look at that. He's moving right from the cover to the cover. It's now depending on that one, and there's some other trees right in front. But he still keep marking everywhere. So you can see that now he's going through that other big tree there. So you will see, as soon as the testosterone level is high, when he's starting to give very strong messages, the territorial holder by the name of Tingana, the father, is going to start having a problem with him. And that is when he's going to get kicked out of the territory and become independent. So these animals, normally they leave their mothers when they're about 18 to 22 months. Yeah, it might take a little bit of time. Why I'm saying this? Because the season at the moment, we are right on summer season where there's quite a lot of flies, which might also disturb this kind of wounds to heal very quickly, because the flies can always irritate them and they will just keep licking the wound all the time, just like what we have seen with one of the female lions from the Unkuhumas. When there's quite a lot of disturbances, it takes time for these animals to heal. So these animals have got a very coarse kind of a tongue. When they're trying to clean the wound as well, every time they do scratch some small bits of the tissues from these wounds. So apologies for the fence. You can see it's just against one of the fence from the properties. He is now approaching the quarantine. When crossing this road now, he will be entering the quarantine area. Maybe he's interested to look for something, but looking at the stomach, I can see that the stomach is showing he's full. He's not that hungry. He is just looking anywhere and everywhere. So these are born to kill animals. The fact that the stomach is full does not mean he cannot take anything down. If anything presents itself here, you will see he's going to try and take it down. So it's normal. Look at that. And you can see what he's doing now. By sniffing the ground here, the tracks, he can be able to also judge and estimate how long the prey animal was here. Look at the Fabricii. Look at that, how it's raising. So those kind of whiskers we are seeing by the side of the mouth also helps them. Those are very strong sense organs, which helps them specifically at night when they are doing some hunting undercover. So those Fabricii helps in order to make them judge easily the space in between the trees. And this is connected to the brain because it's going through nervous system to the brain in order to get information about the age of the track on the ground from what they are looking for. They can sniff and they will know that it was about a couple of minutes ago or it was about an hour ago. Look at that. So now, while we are following Osana to see where he's going, because now he is right heading towards the area where we saw a huge herd of impala. So now, let's go back to the guided walk.
And we decided to quickly skedaddle out of the area, just so that there's no influence at all. Leopards, most big animals, generally react to people on foot, this two-legged upright structure. I know Hassan is a very relaxed male leopard, but even yesterday when we had seen him, after the bushwalk team found him, but definitely it does take him a few minutes to just relax completely again. Most of the time, leopards on foot, if they see a human, off they go. That's the general way. Tingana's like that. Most other leopards I've ever encountered in my life, it's just a quick little because the leopard doesn't want to be spotted by us. They are masters of camouflage, but the whole habituation process with regards to vehicle leads them to get very, very relaxed to the car, and that's what makes photographic opportunities of them from a vehicle unbelievable. But to get a really good photo of a leopard on foot, well, that's not something easily done. Continuing on these lion tracks, they've cut into the block over here, but in the distance Herbie is spotted, because Herbie's with us this morning, of course, and he's spotted some elephant. So we're going to see if we can maybe make a little bit of approach. Light is okay. It's pretty poor light at the moment, but the wind is pretty gently coming from the direction of the elephant, and well, for now it's still quite thick, so we're going to see if we can get a little bit further down the hill here, maybe get a little bit of cover. It's incredible how much denser the vegetation is just in the space of 8 days while I was on leave. And well, there are lots of grasses, the moisture on my feet. It's fantastic to be out on foot. It probably smells almost as fresh as the Masai Mara.
Here we are at the Lagga, where we've been, seeing the three young cubs with their mother, and we just can see one right now. Slowly it will come into shape. See that? Wonderful, beautiful. There's no way to start a day like to see these little bundles of joy. These guys are about 3 to 4 weeks old, and they were discovered by one of our guides, and it's been nice following them. This is the most curious one. I had some of the guides calling him Kimbelembele, which means curious one. I don't know if this is going to be the appropriate name for him or her, but let's see as the days come, the days go, or what we're gonna name him. You can tell he's very curious. He's been the one that every time we come here, he breaks away from the rest of the cubs and walks and stares at the vehicles. To my left, we have the hyena research vehicle. They were here earlier than me slightly, and he's been watching this vehicle. I don't know why I keep saying he's a he, but I don't know. He's been staring at their vehicle. Yesterday I came and he was staring at my vehicle, but this time I came, he's staring at the hyena vehicle. I don't know what he thinks of the vehicles. This is how they get used to vehicles from a very early age, and so in the years to come they are not afraid of vehicles. Remember, here in the Mara, these animals here have been disturbed for over 80 years. Since the game reserve was demarcated, they haven't been disturbed, and so they are so used to vehicles. They don't take vehicles as a threat, and that's why this guy is already getting used to vehicles. We also do behave. If they come towards the vehicle, we try and drive away. But if it's those conditions that it's too hot and they need some shade, we might, sometimes let them come and get some shade from the vehicle. But in this case, you can tell this guy is quite curious. We're just gonna stake out this point, and hopefully the rest of the cubs are gonna come out. He is a cute one, very cute. Look at those eyes, sharp. I don't know what he thinks of this, Toyotas, 2 of them in front of him. I don't know what he thinks, when he hears the cameras clicking and people moving slightly. He's looking to the right, and that's where the mom is. We did see the mom, but he's not in an angle that we can see him from where we are. From where we are, there is a drop of about 9 feet. Without our powerful camera, we will not be able to give you these beautiful pictures. So there's an angle I cannot show you, but hopefully as time progresses, we will be able to show you the rest of the cubs and maybe the female to my right. This is one of the members of the Olololo Pride. And right now, together, there are 19 of them. There are about 16 adults and about 6 cubs. These are the new ones. The pride is getting bigger and bigger by the day. Yesterday we saw the rest of the pride. They were not far from here, but starving, really looking to get something. These little cubs have been here for almost 10 days now. I think in the next coming days, she'll have to move them, maybe move them closer to where she can get food, because around here, there isn't much. She's been having to walk long distances to get food, and those are the days that we've not been able to see her. We come here and we don't find her, and she's been here since yesterday morning, so I think she's given them enough milk, and in the next few hours, I think it's going to be time to say goodbye to them and head towards where there's food for her to eat so that she can get, more milk to feed them. At this time, they are more dependent on milk than any other thing. They are drinking as much as possible. In the coming days, they'll get introduced to their first meat and at the same time to the rest of the pride. Look at this guy. Kimbelembele, they call him. There's another cruiser that just arrived. He is thinking. I don't know what he's thinking. Very cute. Very fluffy, lots of hair. Typical, for young ones. They need warmth, so that thick coat helps them, keep away the cold. You can tell he's not starving. If he was starving, he will not be this curious. Abiyad, his surroundings. Sorry, Abiyad, about that question, could you come back again? I would really like to answer you, but I have to understand the question. But yes, very, very curious. He is one of the 3 that has been always coming out to check what is happening every time we come. You look around the eyes, there is a slightly like an eyeliner that is white, that is lighter. They say that helps lions in the night to gather, extra light. When that reflects into the eyes, they see more. They can multiply the slightest of light up to around 10 times, our sight. So if I can see 1 meter at night, for them they can see 10 meters. So, that is why they have that light, like lining below and slightly above. I don't know why he keeps looking to the right. Maybe the others are coming out, or maybe his mom is moving. As I continue giving you this live broadcast, I'll take you back to Sydney with Hosanna.
You are the one. They're coming to us.
So you can see that now Hosanna is high up on top of the Amarula tree. He's right on top of the Marula tree at the moment. When he got up here, I thought maybe he just want to be advantageous and be on top of this tree so that he can have high elevation. But now I can see it's not about that. When we got him, he was from the pen drinking water, and now I think it's time for him to rest because the stomach looks big at the moment. You can see there's even signs showing on that front leg that is dirty a little bit there. I'm not sure if maybe that is because of blood, as he was spotted yesterday having something to eat somewhere around the dam wall. So cats are too clever when they've got blood. So the cats are so very much clever. After feeding on something, if there's blood on their legs, they must have to lick them and clean themselves because it attracts quite a lot of flies, and flies irritates them when they're sleeping. The direction where he's steering towards now is where the impalas are. So this is quite a very densely populated tree. I can see the leaves are now blending with this animal on top. If we didn't see him jumping, we were not going to find him. A cool breeze. I didn't get your question nicely. If you can repeat that. So the leopards, you will see them breathing very fast all the time because when these kind of animals are sleeping, they get very much tired. And sometimes you will see them lying down by the shade, sometimes by the sun. So during the day, because of also the weather condition, you will see them breathing very fast. But also after a responsibility of chasing an animal, they also breathe very fast. So they breathe fast when chasing an animal, after chasing an animal, and also when they're resting. So sometimes because of the amount of food in the stomach and the space, that is why you will see them trying to breathe fast. After drinking or eating too much, the space in the stomach is not too much because of eating. So they must have to be able to breathe less, and it must have to be very quickly. So the cats, when they put the ears back, sometimes you will see when they are about to approach something, they put their ears back. So when they're putting their ears back, when hunting is about approaching an animal. But sometimes as well, when they're challenging each other, raising the tails and the ears, they also work as a sign of submission or a sign of aggression. So you can see on top of the... So now let's quickly cross over to the Masai Mara, where we are going to have a beautiful sunrise.
Hello. This is not a postcard. This is real sunrise in the beautiful Masai Mara. Just came up to say hello. Beautiful day. Looks like it's going to be clear day. Temperatures here are about 18 and around 68 Fahrenheit. Beautiful at the moment. Looks like it's going to get hotter as the day progresses. We're still here with the lions. They just went around the bush, so I'm going to stay here. It's really beautiful. Look at that. Sun just came up. I don't know what time it came up where you are, but here it's just coming out, and it is wonderful. The sounds of the birds, the sight in front of me, the smells, the temperatures, can't ask for anything more. These are the wonderful days in the Mara. Remember, we're just enjoying this short period because in the next coming months, come March, it's going to get, slightly wet. Those are our rainy days until towards May. But at the moment, we're having fun times. It's really beautiful. Look at that. These are the famous Balanitis trees, or the desert dates. They do produce dates, not edible to us, but baboons, elephants, and jackals enjoy them. The under trimming is done by giraffes and elephants. This is one of the dominant tree in the Masai Mara, very widespread, scattered everywhere, and it is the name that gives the Mara name. Mara in Ma language means dotted or spotted. So this is the dotted or the spotted land of the beautiful Maasai Mara. Look at that. Yeah, that is the east. There's no arguing about that. The cubs have just gone down. There is nothing I can do but just stay here, and hopefully they can come out for us. We just seen one. We know there are 3. The mom was there. We didn't get her on the picture for you to see, but she's around. I'm going to stay here a little bit more. I have lots of things, to show you around here. This is one of them. Then I'm going to go back to the hyenas and maybe later on look at the high lions. I'm going to take you back to Steve down in Juba, South Africa, for smaller things.
Well, thank you, Isaac. What a beautiful morning. Once again, I'm sure you are showing the viewers wonderful sunrises in the Mara. We still haven't seen the sun yet, but what we have seen is a beautiful little flower, commonly known as the ruffed male, forming under the genus of the Tachyandra. They are presumably about 49 species of them in South Africa, and easily recognized by that white flower with a really, really yellow center. That anther area, sort of the male sort of pollen area right in the middle. And apparently, somehow, decoctions or infusions were made out of this plant and used to treat sort of the belly button navel area of newborn babies after there have been, the umbilical cord has been removed. So it must have some sort of scar relieving sort of ability. And why the name ruffed male, I really have no idea, but a very pretty little flower, and you can assume by the sort of shape of it being white that it probably used to attract nocturnal insects. Normally purples and whites are attracting nocturnal, so possibly a moth, but due to the fact that it doesn't have a long tube-like sort of opening, maybe some form of beetle that might sort of land on here and touch the female bits and bring the pollen from another flower. So very, very pretty indeed. And well, being out in the bush at the moment is so nice. There are so many things popping out. I found a small sage as well, also commonly known as what we call gentleman's buttons. Almost, you can imagine something to go on your sort of a cufflink, for example. Very pretty, and apparently, well, it's quite easy to identify a sage. Sages have got edges. The stem that I'm holding is angular, and there's at least 3 sides to that. It's not circular that you'll find in most of your other plants, and there are often 3 leaves at the top coming out. It's beautiful little sage. Apparently you can take this little stalk and you can stick it into a glass of water that you want purified, and well, apparently somehow the magic of this plant will make that water drinkable. Isn't that marvelous? Should we have a taste at the end? Always. It's juicy. Very juicy. Anyway, we're going to continue on. We can't find those elephants. They have disappeared into the bushes, but we are still moving. See if we can maybe pick up on some of their tracks coming across. They moved all the way across us from a distance. Megan, I will see if I can find a lucky bean creeper. Herbie? Lucky bean creeper. He's on it. He knows exactly what you want to find, Megan. We'll see if we can find one, but we're going to continue on through here. Oh, fantastic. The buffalo thorns are fruiting. Now, these beautiful fruits, when they are red, they're very edible. They're very unedible now, but that juice is very, very sticky and has been used for fish poison. But right now it's unripe, but when they are ripe, very tasty, very juicy. See, the seed hasn't even formed inside. Well, anyway, someone I know who knows lots about his medicinal plants as well and likes to be on foot too. He, this time, is in the vehicle with Hosana.
You can see that the little chief is now still resting. The ears, you can see they are showing that this cat is resting. You will see, I can see this impalas here, not very far away from where I am, so he might wake up and look at them. They are coming much more this side. So these ears, they can hear very much well. And something very important about the ears, as there was a question earlier, is that they are so unpredictable. They can use the very same kind of a sign in order to display different behaviors. The question was about the ears flat on this leopard. When the ears are flat, yes, sometimes it can be a sign of them nervous. And sometimes it can show that they are scared. And the very same indication can show that they are aggressive. So you can see that one sign from the ear interpret different things at the same time. So you have to be very careful. Don't judge and rely 100% on what you're seeing, because they can use the very same indication to interpret different languages. So you can see that at the moment he is so flat. He is not even worried about anything. Look at how these legs are hanging. So this kind of spots, the rosette spots we are seeing them, is the one which helps them in order to blend. Leopards are amongst those cats which are well gifted to be able to climb and hunt up by the trees. They can be able to chase an animal and catch it from the trees. Leopard also prefers animals such as baboons, and they even try to hunt baboons at night. They've been recorded catching baboons at night up in these trees. It's a very skillful hunter. So he's got a very nice pillow there. You can see that branch is going up there where the branch is broken from on one side. I find it very much difficult for an animal to lie down on top of a branch like that, especially if they're dreaming. It can be something else. Because these animals, we do see them sometimes showing some signs of dreaming. Puma, the leopards in Venda language, we call it ngwe. Ngwe is, the sound is not very far away from Zulus. The Zulus, they call it ingwe. And the Tswanas, they call it nkwe. Nkwe in Tswana, ingwe in Zulu, ngwe in Venda, yingwe in Shangaan. So the sounds, they are much more similar, but the spelling is not the same. So the leopards, they are also very much recommended. There's quite a lot of traditional beliefs on them. So if you go to the Vendas and the other African tribes, mostly during the inauguration of the chief and the kings, they do design them with the clothing which resembles the leopard spots. You will see the top resembling the leopard spots, and all the dress will be much more like a leopard. That is because of the strength and the power the leopard has got. It's associated with ruling because of their strength. And not only the leopard is associated with ruling, including the lions as well. But the lions now is because lions, they are the ones who are very popular when it comes to the territoriality. So because of that, they are associated with good ruling because the lions is the one king of the jungle. So it's like the lions rule them all. So I can't wait to see what is going to happen when Osana becomes an adult. So we might see quite a lot of competition between him and Tingana, because if you can count the age of Tingana at the moment versus the age of Osana, you will see that the 4 years we are talking about, he's going to be 3 years Osana in February, which is next month, which means from four years onwards, he might start competing for the territories in the area. So if you check that versus the age of Tingana, you will see that Tingana also is getting old at the same time while Wasana is growing. So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara and see how Isaac is doing this morning.
Well, when nothing much is happening, we move on and try and find you something. The cub disappeared, the mother disappeared, the hyenas are not there. I've changed my idea. Just going down here, there's a big herd of ellis right here. The sun is not as good, but I'm gonna stop anyway, so you can have the beautiful view that I'm having also here. We've had a lot of young ones recently, and up to now, we're still seeing more. So it's always nice to see these little ones. Look at that. This is the view that I'm having right now. I can tell you, it's beautiful. These are very relaxed, hard, unlike the one we had with James Henry yesterday. They were very skittish. They didn't want us around there. But eventually they didn't come down. There's one female that wanted to charge us. Here the situation is totally different. You can tell that the night has been cool for them. No drama. Happy enjoying the nutritious red oat grass, which is in abundance this time of the year. This is the time that they really enjoy this grass because the wildebeest are not here. They have been away, all the way, backwards towards Lemek and Aitong, and now they've come down here when the wildebeest are gone to enjoy it. All that you see at a distance is the rest of Masai Mara towards southeast. There is a balloon, I can tell that is one that comes from the eastern side of the game reserve, a place called Sekinani. That's where the park headquarters are. It's slightly a bit of a busy area, but still has lots and lots of game, same as here. That in the middle there is the Mara River with all the thick trees. It's a habitat that stands out in the whole of the Mara. Divides the two areas, the Mara Triangle where we are in and the Eastern Mara. Over here in the Mara, some of the herds here are about, the small breeding herds like this one are about 13 to 14. I have seen Ray, how does the Mara smell right now? It is difficult for me to explain to you, but I don't think there is anything fresher than how it smells. Just imagine a place with no diesel fumes, no perfume, no cooking oils, no, human odor, nothing, just nature, fresh. Lots of fresh oxygen because of the fresh, all the trees we have here, the grass, there's no dust. I don't know how to explain it. It's just super fresh. You just want to, inhale lots of it into your lungs. Yeah. At the moment I was telling you that we have lots and lots of small herds at the moment. I have seen one of the biggest herds here down at Mushtera Marsh. I have been in between about a herd of 400 elephants. And this was during the dry season. They were all congregated in the marsh. That is the biggest herd I've ever seen here. But over here we have lots and lots of small herds. Yesterday I counted about 150 just from camp looking down with my binoculars. But there is lots and lots and lots of them. I'm gonna drive on down the road, then hopefully I can find something for you, but I'm gonna try and get to these elephants closer. There's a bit of dust, but the car's gone. These are guys racing to go and fetch those guys that went ballooning very, very early. Yeah, as I continue down, I'll take you back to Duma. Sorry, that skipped me. Maybe you repeat again, please. Remember, this is live. Oh, rhino. Yes, we do have rhinos here. Not easy to come across. Last one with a female. I don't know what's going to happen in front of me. The same area I am in, it's where I saw them last time. I'm going to turn down here. Who knows? I might show you one in the next 1.5 hours. Yeah, as I continue looking for all these things for you, I'll link you back to Steve at a waterhole in Duma.
Well, in the Mara, things hide in the grass all the time. And while here in the Sabi Sands, in our summer months, it's almost impossible to spot what's in the long grass. Can you see the green little critter hidden in there? Poor little fellow. He's missing his one big back leg. But somehow still managing to get around and move through the grass area. He looks just like a blade of grass. And, well, they feed on grass as well. Jumping around. They are vegetarians. I don't know the species of this. What did you say, Seb?
I think it's called a wren locust.
Seb thinks it's a wren locust.
Rain is like the rain.
A rain locust.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a locust. I think it's a grasshopper of sorts. Almost a horn grasshopper, but I'm not 100% sure. I know there's some entomologists out there who know their insects very, very well, but we spotted this very camouflaged individual only due to the fact that he moved. And that is the reason why the fork-tailed drongo and other birds like that will follow buffalo and other large animals through the long grass because, well, when you frighten him, he moves. And when he moves, he's visible. But until that point, he is completely invisible. Mushi, that is indeed amazing, is it not? And, well, we've got a beautiful grass here as well. This is called, I don't know what it's called. I thought this was crow's foot. I think it is crow's foot. 2 toes, 2 toes. It should almost be 3 toes. It looks like a crow's foot, doesn't it? Beautiful to see the grasses coming through this time of year. The succession of grasses and forbs is most certainly coming through. Roxy, the insect's eyes look like grass seeds. Okay. I'm not able to zoom in as well as Seb is. I've got to look at it with my natural eyes. There we go. How well done is that? Beautiful. The star of the show this morning. Osana, step back, the grasshopper is in charge. See how well he's moving through there. Even with one leg missing, folks, he'll be able to grow that leg back when he does a bit of a molt, which is very interesting, how these organisms are able to sort of just regrow bits and pieces of themselves. They'll go through a number of stages of ecdysis, which is basically the shedding of skin. Insects grow to a certain level. The outside of their body is basically a hardened exoskeleton. It hardens with the air, and as they want to grow to the next layer, they have to push themselves up. So they basically inhale and breathe a huge amount of oxygen in, and they pop their old sort of skin open, and then they come out with a new skin on top, and then the air hardens it again. And they go through a number of these stages before reaching full adulthood. And with grasshoppers live in the grass with the nymphs, the babies, the eggs get laid down here in the grass, and then they go through successive stages until eventually they become flying, and then they go off and they mate and they reproduce again. So they live in the same environment. They don't really change too much from the small nymph to adult. They look quite similar going through, but obviously eventually getting wings so they can fly around and mate. Oh, thank you, James Richard. A common stick grasshopper. Very good. Very good. Well, we should call him a common grasshopper because he is so well camouflaged in there. Seb's managed to get around again. And if you did not know that was an insect, folks, you would not have a clue. And that's why and how we know, well, why so many of the birds have adapted those commensalistic relationships with large animals to assist them in catching these very camouflaged but yet very tasty and very juicy organisms. Giraffe Girl, well, for you, we will name him George. George the Grasshopper on this beautiful Monday morning. Hello, George. Wave to all your fans. They are very happy to meet you, George, even though you've only got, we'll call him George the one-legged grasshopper, even though he's got 5 legs, he's missing one. So George the one-legged grasshopper. What a cool dude. So he's going through his daily movements, and off he goes. We are at Treehouse Dam, of course, having a look, seeing what's going on here. There was a pair of Egyptian goose that I think have decided they didn't want to stick around with us loitering on the sides, and they have since disappeared. It's just, you can't really hear the ambient on the bushwalk. It is such a nice morning. The birds are calling, the rattling testicula, the black-headed oriole. No, you can't. That's all right. That's all right. Just breathe in. Have you got the geese, Seb? Treehouse Dam is looking a lot better than it did when I went away 10 days ago. There we go. There's the very proud-looking Egyptian goose looking over his watering hole. No doubt if any other Egyptian goose decided to come down, it would start making all sorts of noises. A Dejik's cuckoo calling in the background as well. Egyptian goose are probably getting around the stage of looking for some form of nesting. They will nest on top of buffalo weaver nests, on top of hammerkop nests, anywhere up in the tree if they can, or a little bit elevated off of the ground. We've had lots of goslings in the last year, haven't we? And, well, maybe we'll have some more goslings this year because, well, we all do love the goslings. I know there's been lots and lots of tales of the goslings, but if there's been tales about anybody, there has not been more tales than any other leopard for the moment than Hosanna himself.
So the cat is still lying right on top of this tree, and I can promise you this cat might be here for long hours. And I'm thinking about to move around and carry on trying to see if the unkuhumas are not back in the property, and then later on I'll come back here so that we can carry on having this lovely and majestic little chief of the Juma Game Reserve. So the weather is still perfect. It's still nice and cold. I just want to confirm the presence of unkuhumas in the property and then come back here. Because otherwise I can see we might just have him flat as he is at the moment for about a couple of minutes. So you can see that he is not moving at all. So the cats are much more active at night, and during the day it's time for them to conserve energy in order to work again hard at night. So, but now still they can use their energy because they don't lose it much when it's like this, when it's overcast. So at least the direction I am going now is where the tracks we saw earlier for the lions are also going towards. So let's go and try and hit the 2 birds with 1 stone. I always liked it that way. Oh, it seems like the impalas, they felt that here we might experience problems. No impalas at the moment here, and it was a lot. Just 2 minutes before we found Hosanna, it was just impalas everywhere. Oh, I can see they're still here. It's just that now they're much more towards the edge of the quarantine. So it means still they are not aware of the presence of the big predator in the area. So now let's quickly cross over to Isaac, who is also driving in the Masai Mara.
I am driving by this beautiful Croton Dachogamas forest that takes me down towards the marsh, and I am hoping to see something here. I don't know what it might be, but I'm sure there is something. Surprisingly, last year, October, I saw a hippo here, and also 3 days ago, so I don't know if you know, there is a little pool inside here of water. So I might show you that hippo. You can tell that it's still wet in the grass. There's still lots of dew. This is where I saw that hippo. Yes, I see him. Look at that. He's there. I'm not allowed to drive off-road here, so I'm going to stop at a distance. You see him? Bugei, the magic man behind all the pictures you see, is going to show you. There he is. Look at that. When I came for my interview at SafariLive, and I think he found this pool. He's been here since then, and I think he's hoping that he's going to lure some females. This is how a pod of hippos start, usually by a lone male finding an appropriate spot. Then, while grazing at night, he might bump into some females because they're highly gregarious in water. But once they are out, everybody ventures out by his or by himself, or a mother with its calf. And so when he's grazing out there, he might come across a female that maybe will like him if he's, put on his best perfume, or he looks like he can protect the female. The female will feel free to join him, and that's how a pod starts. It's rather an awkward, area, because it's quite far from the main source of water. And in the dry season, I think this will dry up completely. And that's why I think the females haven't been able or been convinced that it's actually an appropriate pool. And that's why he's hanging all by himself. And this is where I can explain why hippos are so dangerous. In Africa, they say they cause most deaths. And this is one of the reasons. If this is very close to a village, somebody would think that hippos are only found in the river. Not to know that actually a small pool of, of water like this can attract a fully grown hippo. You come here, most of us in the villages lack lavatories. We go in the bushes, and, you come across here trying to get to the other side. This guy will want to go to deeper water, and if you're caught in between him and water, he'll give you a run for your money. Also, firewood is the main source of livelihood in the most villages. We use firewood for cooking, and so women coming, they usually gather up in the village, up to 10, 15 women. They go into the bushes looking for wood to cook, and so when they come across here, they don't know what to do. They run in different directions. Maybe one will lead towards the river, and the hippo will think that it's blocking him, and it will go for him. So this is how things happen, or more deaths happen in Africa. This guy is very far away from water. I wouldn't want to get closer than where I am, because I'm also a threat. I have seen them go for, vehicles. I did see some years back during my younger days where it went for a vehicle and beat it quite badly. They have this very long, they have these long incisors, about 1 foot long, and there are 4 of them, and they have an 150-degree gap. Imagine that going through you. It will just feel like, going through a balloon. As I continue looking for something for you, I'll link you back to Steve with the smaller creepy crawlies that are also very interesting in Juma.
Well, we found a dung beetle who was busy playing with his ball, and now he's rolled all the way down the hill. with his attached dung friend. There's two of them. One that is now fell down the hill on the right. That's the one you can see on the right. He's pretending to be dead. He's playing a game called Thanatosis that you get when obviously you stop moving and everything who wants to eat you realizes that you're dead and they leave you alone. But he was rolling this ball up the hill, and he hadn't picked the nicest of hills to choose because there's a huge log on the top of the slope. And well, he hit that 2 or 3 times, and then he rolled all the way back down the hill. Shame. He definitely was not going to be heading in the right direction. Now, poor little fella, come on, wake up. He's perfectly alive, folks, I can guarantee you. Everybody loves dung beetles. This is the time of year, and I think whenever we do see them, we are going to document them because they are so much fun. But, well, I'm going to just go and grab him and put him close to his dung ball. Maybe that will entice him to get excited again. Put him on top. He is pretending to be dead. Isn't that fantastic? He was very, very much alive before, and, well, you can see all of the little midgies, the little flies that are following him around, following his ball of dung. And I know Sydney was talking last night about how important dung beetles are for removing and burying organic material. I mean, you can see the size of this ball here. I mean, it's quite heavy. If I had to weigh it, I'd probably say it's about 20, 30 grams or so, but that is a guess. But it is enormous considering the size of that animal. And, well, they bury these balls all over the place, and as I'm sure you all know, it is all about cement. They do not bite. You see this nose, this shovel-like face over here. They've got a very powerful nose for digging into the ground, and these front feet here are very, very powerful when it comes to pushing the ball and also for padding the ball down to make it nice and smooth. But he uses those for pushing backwards, and the back 4 legs are used to hold the ball and push it uphill. But if he was moving and I held him in my hand, it's actually almost impossible to keep him in your hand because he pushes his way out. That's how powerful they are. But he has decided that he has spent enough energy and he's going to just play dead there for us, which is very, very cute. Hopefully he's going to wake up shortly and show us what a dung beetle can do. But, well, along the way we found, as we know, very, very nice foodstuffs out in the bush. And here is some white berry bush. Herbie and myself, we kind of navigate our way through the bush to eat as many of these as we can. And inside is a little seed. There's a couple seeds. There's 3 seeds inside. Ray, the dung beetle is definitely meditating. We'll give him some time there. So these little 3 seeds, all sorts of birds, monkeys, will feed on these fruits, and then they'll deposit these seeds a little bit later in time with their dung somewhere. So a question for the viewers, can anybody tell me what type of seed dispersal this is? If you spent time with me last year, you will remember we detailed exactly what dispersal this might be. All the different dispersal types. Hashtag SafariLive or third on the YouTube chat stream. What type of dispersal is this? And we're looking for a very specific word. Well, very nice to be eating our white berry bush. On the side of the road, there is also some very beautiful flowers here in the form. While we wait for our dung beetle to wake up and wait for your answers to come through here. This is the one here, Seb. Beautiful sawtooth lovegrass is busy flowering here. Probably one of the easiest grasses to identify. No, Ravinda, I'm not looking for the plant. This is the whiteberry bush. I'm looking for the type of dispersal. I did give some ecology lectures last year. We've got seeds that are being eaten by an animal or a bird and then distributed. And there is a very specific word that I'm looking for. I'm sure some of you will remember. If you don't, we will go through all of that again. But once again, here we've got the seed of the sawtooth lovegrass. Very easy to identify that very sharp saw-like structure. Kathy says aerial poo method. Well, Kathy, that's not far off. It's not the most scientific name I've ever heard of before, but you're on the right sort of track. Ow! I'm bitten by a biting fly. So the reason for a lot of these dung being deposited is so the biting flies also don't perpetuate, because they like to bite us right on the feet. But a beautiful little grass. You can see this little stamen, the pollen that's there. face. He says endozoocori. No, I'm afraid that's not correct. But you are very close. You're very, very close. Endo is not correct. But you see the beautiful pollen here. All wind pollinated. That's why most people have allergies this time of year. So zoocori is very, very close. It's exactly kind of what you're looking for there. There's two types. Do you remember how they all end in a chory, C-H-O-R-Y, and they're either distributed by the wind, so aero, or they're distributed by water, hydrochory, or distributed by a bird. Grumpy man, allochory is not correct. Allo, I'm not sure where allo would come in, but you get auto, when if the seed maybe pops and flies on its own. You get AV chory, which is when birds will eat this and then deposit it in their dung, which is very close to what Kathy said there about aerial poo distribution, which is pretty much the same thing. And then you get zoochory, which you said there before, which is by animals. So I hope that is enlightening enough. It's very nice to have a look at some form of plant or seed and see how it's distributed. And that can actually give you a good indication of how a plant has evolved in the landscape. Well, evolution happening right in front of us with our dung beetle, who is seemingly now going to try and bury his dung right there in the middle of the road. And, well, folks, that is enormous ability and skill, because to be able to dig in something that's as compacted as a road requires something like an aardvark to do. And, well, this guy is going to try and bury it right there. Part of the sort of telecoprid group of dung beetles, and generally all quite large, and they roll the dung away from the source so as to maximize the food that they can get from the dung. I think this was buffalo. We had some buffalo tracks there before. And once it's buried, the mate that is seemingly attached to the side was doing nothing much but just holding on. Seems to be feeding a little bit now. There'll be some mating that goes on, and then potentially an egg that gets laid inside. They are, in fact, alive, folks. They get a bit stunned sometimes when they fall down a little. It's actually digging underneath the road. I don't think it's picked the best spot. What do you think, Seb? Excuse me. And obviously the size of the ball is dependent on the size of the dung beetle, because bearing in mind when the larvae hatches inside, there'll be one larvae which will grow as a really big grub. It will just feed inside there, going through all the stages of grub development, so eventually becoming, well, cocooning itself completely and metamorphosizing and coming out 100% formed as a dung beetle, generally with next year's rainy season. It really is quite an interesting concept to think that your child is put into a ball and it hatches from egg, goes through all the stages of youth and adolescence, primary school, middle school, high school, university, and then comes out fully fledged and ready for the big bad world out of a pool of poo. Very, very interesting indeed. Well, I think he's decided that he wants to fall asleep underneath the dung ball. Connie, the ball is perfectly round. They use their front feet to sort of smooth it off. They eat a little bit as they go, and they make it quite perfectly round in the dung pile, but it's not 100% in the dung pile. And then as they roll it around along the ground, as it rolls, it kind of gets that rounded motion, because the dung is still quite wet and quite fresh, and then it gets a nice coating of sand and sediment on the outside, and then a completely enclosed ball of dung. Not all of them are used for breeding. Some of them are just for food, and some of them are actually to confuse predators that are digging into the hole, namely the honey badger that we saw tracks of earlier, with those big, long claws. They can probably hear the dung beetles in the ground, busy just munching on the inside of the dung ball, and they dig it up, and then quite fun to see. I'm sure this year we will find a couple of the discarded shells of these dung balls, and inside, when you feel inside, it's completely smooth, because the grub has just been sort of eating around the edge, like completely smooth, like someone's taken sandpaper and sort of just smoothed off the inside. It's very, very interesting. But it looks like he's gone back to sleep, Seb. What do you reckon? Yeah. Sydney had a very exciting dung beetle sighting last night. And, well, it seems like our guys are, well, having a little bit of a quiet Monday morning. The second one going to help finally. I think it's realized that this is an impossible task, digging into the road. But little holes they will dig. So little disturbance factors once again, of course. All the environment of the savannah is all about disturbance and all about the nutrient recycling, which is what these dung beetles are so good at doing. Well, Sydney is on the search still. I believe he was trying to find the Unkuhuma pride. Let's go and see exactly whereabouts he's at.
Dung beetles, my favorite animal. I am right here by the Triple M just to see if there are no tracks for the Unkuhumas. I just got here now and so far there is nothing on the ground. So I am forced, I am forced by no updates here to carry on much more towards the Twins Dam. Maybe that side we might be lucky and find something. So the Unkuhumas, it looks like they are still deep much more this side, which is in the private concessions. So now let me go towards Twins Dam, where the other tracks we saw, the tracks you have also been shown by Steve on Bushwalks, are heading to. So last time I saw the Unkuhumas, sometimes they come in here and they go deep in these bushes and they come out by Twins Dam. So there is some buffaloes in the area here. I saw some fresh tracks heading towards our property side, and yesterday late evening I also saw some of the buffaloes. So now, before this bird flies, let's quickly go to Isaac by the Masai Mara.
Here we have a black-headed heron. I was on my way looking for something and I found him. There is water, but he's quite out in the open. Where he is, I'm sure he's hunting for grasshoppers and little creepy crawlies. At this time of the year, when the grass is disturbed, they are in abundance. The menu is very, very big for him. And those long legs scares, the grasshoppers. You see that, wiggling movement. It's like dancing, like he can feel some music. It's when he detects something, he gets ready to stab it or, grab it quite quickly. They have amazing eyesight, so they can be on at the tiniest movement close to them and just quickly grab it and swallow it. And they can swallow snakes up to about 2 feet long. They can swallow some certain types of frogs. Yes, Jeremiah, it is a spear that can actually give you... There, he got something. He got something. I don't know what it is. Yeah, we just saw a kill. See that? Yeah, got a grasshopper. That is how they use the beak. It is actually a spear. It can stab fish in the water and also, grab something quite quick. Yeah, this is the black-headed heron. You see those, it's got like 2-3 feathers behind the head. Sometimes during the day, it will raise them up and it looks very beautiful. On to my right, I do have the African gray heron. We're gonna sweep down to it. It's over there, and then there is something happening. Before, I could hear some hyenas howling, and there is a hyena running very, very fast. I don't know where he's headed. I don't know if he's late for breakfast. Look at that. I just picked him up. But earlier on, we hear some hyenas howling at a distance. Maybe he had a late invitation and he's trying to catch up and go for breakfast. This is the same spotted hyena that is very common here. And looks like he's on a mission. He's on to something. Yeah. We were going to show you the African grey heron. So it's right here on this water body here. We're going to show it to you right now. He's right there. So we have the two most common herons opposite each other. This is the African grey. You can tell that it's got a slightly yellow bill and a slightly lighter color above the head. You see that? So this is the African grey heron. He's also in the long grass, and I think he's doing the same thing as the other one, hunting for little creepy crawlies. See, there's a water body here. I think he's tired of hunting for grasshoppers and spiders. He's gonna go in there, and maybe there's some small fish and frogs. Ravinda, very good question. What happens? Ravinda, sorry. What happens when a bird finds prey larger than its mouth? I have seen a heron try and swallow a big mouse for up to around 10 minutes, and eventually it gives up. They don't know how to chop it into smaller pieces like birds of prey do. They have to swallow them whole. They usually just leave it there. And I'm sure just like us, when you can't eat something, you feel sorry. They feel the same. They feel like, why did I kill it? I cannot swallow it now. Yes, they do leave them if they cannot swallow them. It does happen. You see that steel movement? He spotted something. It's part of hunting. There we go. He's going to get something. There we go. Got it. Yeah, another kill. Yeah, that's how they do it. They stay still for as long as possible. They detect the slightest movement. Then with those long legs, move in quickly and just get it. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I think the African black heron is winning more. He's winning more. This other guy is just standing there. This guy has had 2 kills already. And the other guy is just standing there. He's winning. Wow, look at that. He's going to move in and then stay still for a bit, wiggle his head a little bit, and then whatever he sees, he goes for it. Look at that. He's still now. Look at that. Motionless. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. Nothing. He hasn't detected anything, something. Then he moves to the next step, maybe 4 meters, 12 feet. Does the same thing. There we go. Gotta get something. Yes, Anna Marie, they strike like lightning. That is very, very true. You see, for them, every chance, it's the only chance. They have to get that small beetle, grasshopper, as fast as possible, because also it can fly. Their reflexes have to be very fast. Sorry, that was Bungay sneezing. Scared him. Look at that. That's a nice view of the neck. I hope you can wiggle like dancing. Now is maybe heard something on the left. These are some of our commonest herons in the Mara. We do have the Goliath, the purple, and the, what's the other one? The African grey. Those are the 4 common ones we have here. And sometimes in the future, I will be able to go to the marsh and share them with you. They are very in abundance. Yeah, the Goliath is the largest. It's very rarely seen, only in the marshes. As I continue looking for something for you, I'll link you back to Steve with the wonderful smaller things.
What marvelous scenes always in the Mara with the herons catching frogs. I think I had frogs and rats being caught when I was up there. Such special animals to watch. Their very slow, patient stealth movements. Well, an organism that is also very slow and also very patient, the tick. There are many different species of tick. I can't tell you which one this is, to be honest, but it's definitely an adult. It's got 4 sets of legs, which means it's got 8 legs. The youngsters, the nymphs will have only 6, so it's quite easy to identify them. But the difference is really, I was talking about the grasshopper before, is that the ticks will lay their eggs in the grass, and the nymphs will hatch, normally what we call pepper ticks, thousands of these little black spots that end up covering our bodies, and we itch all over the place. But essentially what they are is just tiny ticks that are looking to gorge themselves on blood and on animals, and once they do, they get quite a lot bigger, falling off again to then molt and to continue their life stage. Some ticks will have more than one host. Some are only one host. Some have 2. Some even have 3, which means they might go from a scrub hare to a steenbok to a buffalo, or from a steenbok to a buffalo or to a giraffe, for example. They have a very specific sort of hosts that they like to go for. And what we're watching right now is these ticks are doing something called questing. And what that is really is they're sitting on the end of a grass stalk, hoping and waiting for an animal prey to walk through, and then they'll feel or smell the carbon dioxide coming through, and they'll quickly latch out their arms and legs and grab onto their host, crawling up into whatever nether region they find most appropriate. Most ticks will have a specific area on the body they like to go to, behind the ears or the groin area, somewhere where they really will get exactly what they want. Male and female will then meet on their host. They'll have a little bit of a dance, a partner dance, where they will mate, and after that the female will gorge herself to an enormous extent, especially the ones you find on giraffe and on buffalo, and we've even seen some on elephants. They'll gorge themselves this huge size, the size of sort of the tip of my thumb, and then fall off onto the ground, rolling around, trying to find somewhere to lay their eggs. And they will lay their eggs in a nest, as it were, in the grass before dying. And well, there the life process continues. So parasites, they are bloodsuckers, and they are the transmitters of all sorts of disease. Most wildlife out here are pretty much immune to many of the diseases that come and go. And those that don't have great immunity generally kind of die. Calcics, yes, ticks are in the arachnid family, having only 6 set legs as a youngster, but 4 sets as an adult is what puts them in that family. But obviously, without the sting and without the venom, they are very different from the other arachnids, such as scorpions and spiders. But it's all about legs in the insect world. But arthropods, nonetheless, all arthropods are organisms that have an exoskeleton on the outside, and ticks, just like the other organisms, need to shrink and swell as they go. So they will grow their body parts. They will then, obviously, once they reach sort of a certain size, they'll have to stretch out to that to molt again and to grow again. And these are what we call hard ticks. In general, hard ticks are the ones you find out in the open, generally on many of the animal species. And you also get the soft ticks, which are generally found in the nests of birds or on birds themselves. They don't have the same sort of hardness to them, even though these guys aren't that hard, and they are harder than the soft ticks, which are a little bit gross and not very nice to spend time with. But ticks serve their purpose in the environment. They spread disease and they regulate prey numbers, and obviously animals that aren't strong enough, well, they don't survive. Jessica, insect repellent plays its part out here, but unfortunately ticks are reality. After a bushwalk, I'm going to search myself. Seb and I are going to do some aloe grooming, where we're going to sit there and we're going to pick each other. I'm only joking. Seb's only going to groom me. I'm not going to groom him, which means it's not aloe grooming. There is repellent that keeps ticks off. We do sometimes use repellent. Some people put on normal sort of mozzie spray or insect repellent to keep it off. But you still have to search yourself, because they do find themselves on your clothes, find themselves finding their way into all the interesting little soft parts on the body. And, well, this is the time of year, folks, that in a couple days, couple weeks, you're going to see us just walking around just scratching, because once Dr. Rob, exactly, we're all going to be scratching soon. And a lot of you will say, don't we get annoyed with the ticks? Well, there's nothing we can do, really. We're going to walk into a nest. Those guys are going to get their meal on someone's back. They're then going to land on the ground. They're going to drop their eggs. We're going to walk into just a little bit of grass like this, and I'm going to get covered in ticks. And, well, there's really nothing you can do about it, except be vigilant. And that's it. We're going to itch, we're going to scratch, and, well, we found some more friends in the road as we walked around the corner. There they go. You can see how it's not that very round, but it will be eventually once all the work is done. Well, rolling, rolling, rolling he goes down the road. We're going to be going all the way up to the Masai Mara once again with Isaac, with the biggest of them all, the African elephant.
We're still on the look. And here we have Ndovu, or Tembo in Swahili, we call them. There's a very big elephant to my left. In a moment, you will see him. Right here by the road. A very, very big boy. Mighty, mighty bull. This is a very young one. He's not that old. I wouldn't say he's more than 30. They reach maturity at the age of about 30. Big bulls, that's when they are allowed, to start producing or mating. This guy has formed a coalition with another male who's far to our left. We might not be able to see him because of the angle, but this guy, he's big. Look at him. For his age, I would say he's very big. You see that round, big forehead? Typical for males. It's got beautiful eyelashes. The wrinkly skin, look at that. Those are to avoid, small twigs getting into their eyes when they walk in thick bush. Look at the texture of the skin, thick, full of mud. For us, it looks like it's just very dirty, but for them, they're super clean. They have sunblock on, insect repellent. Yeah. It avoids, stops the insects from biting through the mud, and also extreme sunlight from going through, penetrating into the skin. They say elephants lose lots and lots of water. Yeah, that is the mighty trunk that does all the things. Breathing, smelling, tasting. It's also a hand, a very useful tool for the elephant. Yeah, that's a tail, very useful also. For, swatting flies in between the legs and on the sides. Look at that. Looks very scruffy, but that's typical. It's usually on one side and the other. Unlike other animals, where it's all surrounded by hairs, this one is it's usually on two sides. Very saggy skin. That actually looks very healthy for an elephant. He looks very, very healthy, this young guy. Yeah. Remember, these guys, we have them in huge numbers in the Masai Mara. Everything is perfect for them. That is, the guys responsible of taking care of these beautiful guys, the rangers. Oh, look at that ear. It's folded in. It's not normal. Maybe something happened in his younger years. He lost some nerves there, and so it's folded in. That opening, if you zoom in there, that opening there is actually the ear hole there. You see that? It's the size of a thumb, an adult thumb, and it goes all the way into the skull. The whole, ear flap is just the outer ear. The ear hole is very, very small, and it's got very good sense of hearing, the elephant. Beautiful. Yeah, that's fold actually. I'm gonna be able to identify him by that. These are things that you don't notice every day on binoculars, but on camera you can really notice them. The buildings way up there are the rangers' houses. Yeah. To the left, there's another one, but we cannot see him. He's too far to the left. This guy is very relaxed. Look at him. What he thinks he's eating. I think, for me, when I'm relaxed like this, I have a book and I'm alone and I'm having some what we call nyama choma and ugali. That is a traditional local food for us, which is barbecue of goat meat and polenta. It's my favorite. Let's give him some time and enjoy him. Take time to see how he enjoys his sweet grass. See how he uses the trunk, plucks the grass off the ground. Sometimes, he bites off the roots that have a bit of soil and then puts the rest into his mouth. I'm sure he can see me. They have very poor eyesight, but craft seed. Sorry, I don't know if I had your name clearly. Well, after being with these animals since I was a young boy, Crafty. Sorry, now I know. I understand your name. After being with these animals all my life, I know how to read their behavior. I can tell when they don't want me there and when they want me. The way I approach them also really matters. And the way we came in here, we showed that we meant no trouble. We just wanted to be here for a moment and then leave. And that's why he's so relaxed with us. He's listening to me. And there's something that he wants to eat that is closer maybe to the vehicle. Something just changed. I don't know what has changed his demeanor. I don't know what he smelled. Or he had me saying that, we know about them. And then he decided to tell me that, I don't know about you. You don't know about me. And that he's relaxed again. They do portray this behavior of, trying to show off, especially when they're young, to show off that, they are much bigger and dominant to us. That's a greyback shrike. I'm sure he's there because there are some few insects that are being disturbed by the elephant, and he's taking advantage of that. He's in the family of shrikes, which we call them the butcherbirds. Hence their name. What they do, they eat, kill small grasshoppers, and once they've had their fill, they'll hook them like a poacher does on thorny bushes to eat them later. The beautiful view of Ololo at the background over there. Remember, this is the African elephant, spread out from East and Central Africa all the way to Southern Africa. This guy is probably about 3.5 tons. Records say that they can weigh up to 5 tons. They can consume up to 1/4 of a ton of food a day. They are water dependent. They will need to drink almost every other day. In the Mara, I doubt that because, there's plenty of soft food, so they can go for 2 or 3 days because they get all the moisture from the grass and leaves. And here they don't have to walk long distances, especially the breeding herds. The big bulls might walk, maybe about 5 kilometers looking for females to mate with, but this guy is not ready to mate, so that's why he's very relaxed. He's not bothered. they actually have a sort of different demeanor when they come into season, when the testosterone go very high. And being that close, like we were earlier, I have to be super careful because they can charge without warning. He said goodbye to me, and I'm also going to say goodbye to him and move on ahead and see what's ahead of us down the road. As I head down the road, I'll link you back to Steve with some plants down in South.
Every now and again, you just have to stop and smell the flowers. Isaac's having a fantastic time, it seems, up in the Masai Mara. And well, we have decided to stop next to a very beautiful flower called yellow justicia, or justicia flava. Flava meaning yellow, named after a Scottish horticulturalist many, many years ago. 1800s, someone who must have identified this plant. A very beautiful, easy to identify plant with that little sort of that stalk that stands up, and you can see the three-petaled sort of flower at the bottom. Very easy to identify. Now, apparently, I just dug up one of them. There's lots of them around, folks. There's about 30, 40 different ones right here around us. So I dug up a plant to see, because apparently the rolled root balls that you dig up apparently you roll them into, and they'll be quite fragrant for years, but it just smells like soil. I have tried this before, and it really didn't provide anything in the form of a very nice smelling plant. Jeanette, I suppose it does look like a little mini orchid. Very pretty though, isn't it? Very beautiful. It's a perennial, so it's sprouted back from the ground. It's a woody plant in the ground, and easy to see that by if I show you this segment that I've got, you'll see that it's all woody, and it's just all new growth that's come up. So a lot of the wildflowers we have here are what we call perennial, meaning alive for more than one season or 1 year, and so they'll just re-sprout again after some rains. And a very pretty flower as well. And well, I found one over here that I've been looking for. I haven't seen one this year, the first time. Just in the bush here. Seb's going to creep in there and have a look at this very beautiful purple flower called a felt violet Ruellia, which is named after Jean-Luc Ruellia. And what's very interesting about this beautiful plant, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do it, but it is used in love potions, can you believe it? And, well, this magical plant has been known, I don't know how exactly, but it's been known to make someone invisible. So we're going to try and delve into the depths of this felt violet Ruellia and see if we can figure out exactly how it makes someone invisible, because wouldn't that be amazing to just disappear for a period of time? Although you can see everybody, they can't see you. It's definitely something I thought of when I was a child. I used to run around with a Spider-Man mask on my face. I was a very shy child, believe it or not. And well, when I put my Spider-Man mask on, I was invincible and invisible, and a very confident young lad. So, a nice little thing. So, how would you make an invisible charm out of a plant, folks? I don't know. How disappear just now? So, used magically in love potions. So, very nice Ruellia, felt violet Ruellia, a very beautiful plant. And by the color, you can see once again it's purple. And it's a long tubular sort of flower. So you're going to assume, being purple, it's a nocturnal insect that comes here. And being long like that and tubular, you're going to assume that it's a moth. So generally UV light, nocturnal insects are more sort of attuned to sort of purples and whites. Diurnal insects normally attuned to sort of more yellows and oranges. So you can assume that it's most likely a moth that comes and pollinates this little flower. And some species of flower are very specific on who they choose, and that's why they change their shape to only be attracted to by certain insects that can actually use some form of mouth modification to be able to obviously find the nectar down inside, and at the same time do the dual purpose of pollination, because as we know, insects are the world leaders in pollination, and well, they are in abundance far greater than any other organism on the planet, and so important from the pollination point of view, providing those very integral ecosystem services. Because if you had to go around and pollinate every flower in your garden, I can tell you folks, you would not be able to do it. Even in your own garden, I think you would struggle. But from a food point of view, from a life point of view, from the environmental point of view, insects are without a doubt the most important organism there is. And soon we're going to be eating them as well. Anyway, we're going to continue on down over here. Sid is probably still on the search for the Umkuhuma Pride. Let's go get an update.
I managed to relocate the tracks for these lions here. It's showing that these lions are somewhere in this area. So I'm trying to check to see if we cannot find them somewhere here, as the tracks are not looking bad. So there is a pair of lions somewhere here in the area. It's difficult to spot these kind of animals by these thick bushes. But I can see that they have been here. Maybe they went to the other side through these areas here. There's a very big donga at the moment, or the dry riverbed somewhere right in front here. And by this dry riverbed, it's difficult these days. Network is always a challenge. So I'm going to have to follow this road and see if we can go to the other side and see if they are not by the other side. Maybe we're going to be lucky that side. I am convinced that the tracks here are so very much fresh. Yeah, Tony, here what I've got on the ground is showing that it's a male and a female, but when we started at the beginning, we saw some tracks showing that there is two males in the area. So I am not too sure what exactly is happening here at the moment. When I was in the middle by one of the road by Central, I saw that the tracks here are more than two. So there is quite a lot of evidence showing that there is lions in the area. So maybe this is the mating pair from those ones we saw last week. So now let's quickly cross over to Isaac, who is just driving by the Masai Mara.
We're still in search for the elusive rhino, as requested by some of you, our viewers, our loyal viewers. But as I continue on my mission to find you the rhino, which I don't know if I'm going to find, we've come across the Cape buffalo, quite a big herd, and it's one of our common big herds here. We have very many of these. In this herd, I estimate we have around 250 of them. We call them, in the guide language over here, ng'ombe, which means cows. They are very, very similar to cows. And it looks like a very, very big, very big, happy herd. This is called a breeding herd. A mixture of bulls, young ones, half-growns, and young. here, they face no issues and they do very well. They have very big areas to roam. There is water, so there's no issue, for them not to breed. Those are the beautiful cattle egrets soaring there. They are being helpful to the buffaloes by eating those disturbing insects that go underneath their bellies, noses. They eat them. There is quite some very young ones in between there. So it's surely a nice breeding herd. Look at that one, only a few days old. See if he's still a little bit wobbly. I would give him maybe a day and a half. So it's a serious breeding herd, this one. Look at that view. Cattle egrets on a Buschia coriacea tree. Yeah. I still have to understand about what they call the forest buffalo, which I've never seen. I only know of the Cape buffalo, and it's one of my favorite animals because it resembles an animal I really love, the cow. The Maasai actually love the buffalo also. I once was having a tracker, or what we call a tracker here, who helps you in the vehicle and helps you track the animals. He was a Maasai, and we came across such a big herd of buffalo. And for me to understand how they love cows, he told me in Swahili, Isaac, ikibadilika ikuwe ng'ombe, utafanya nini? That is to say, if these buffaloes were to turn and become animals, what would you do? I was shocked, for him to ask me that question, because I didn't know. I answered him and said, I would go and call the warden and tell him, we have cows in the park to come and get rid of them. His answer was, he would leave me in the car and immediately start herding them home. That's how deep, the love for cows are to the Maasai. That's how I understood, how they love the cows, the cows. It made me have more respect for their cows. They really love their cows. And I love the buffaloes. You see how scattered they are? It means they are not worried about anything. There we have some elephants. I don't know how close they are to each other because we're using a very powerful camera. But they have nothing to fight for. There is enough grazing for everybody. And I'm sure the buffaloes feel very secure with the elephants around. Look at those egrets. It's very common for the egrets to get a ride. Cool breeze. How far is the Serengeti from where I am? As the crow flies, direct line, I would give it around 45 kilometers. Straight to the border. 45 kilometers, which is around about 27 miles. Not far at all. The Mara is actually an extended part of the Serengeti until somebody came and decided that the two had to have different names. It was one huge expanse. The different names, Mara and the Serengeti, are names given by the Maasai people. The Serengeti, if you go towards the south, it's quite an open expanse, which means open, endless plains. And you will see that when you go to areas like Morukopis, Nabi, and central plains towards Ngorongoro. It's very, very open. If you come up towards Loliondo, Claims Camp, Kuka Mountains, Lobo, which is the northern side of the Serengeti, which extends into the Mara, it starts becoming bushy, what we call a wooded savanna, and it stretches all the way here. So it's one huge expanse that was named by the Maasai, but until the countries were demarcated and Kenya was named Kenya and Tanzania left as Tanzania, they became two different things. Remember, the Serengeti is 15 times larger than the Masai Mara. Huge! The Masai Mara is only 1,520 square kilometers. Very small, but the unique thing about the Masai Mara is that it's got about 5 different habitats. We've got the Olololo escarpment to the west, we have the open savanna in the middle, we have the riverine forest, we have rocky outcrops, and open savanna. So it's got 5 different habitats, and that's what makes it so unique, and that's why you can find a huge concentration of animals. I'll try and move on, see if we can find this elusive rhino. We have around 15 of them in this area, plus minus 15, and if I don't find one, maybe I'll find one for you tomorrow. Let's proceed on. It's getting warm now. Beautiful temperature. Yeah, as I continue downwards, let's take you back to Duma with small...
Thanks, Isaac. What a wonderful story about the geology of the Mara and Serengeti. I wish I was able to listen to all that. I'm going to have to go back and find out some stuff. But anyway, it is not that warm here yet, thankfully. We have still got some cloud cover, but we've spotted another plant. And all this one is a very cool plant named bird's brandy, should I say. And it is an indigenous lantana, one of the lantana species. There are many lantana species in South Africa and across the world. Many of them are exotics here, but this one is Lantana rugosa. And rugosa basically refers to the wrinkled-like leaves. You can see almost like an old person's skin. Sorry if I'm offending anybody, but that's where rugosa comes from. But it's been known to use this plant. I'm not sure exactly how. I couldn't find much information about exactly how they use it, but it's ingested, so possibly through a tea or a decoction to help with any sort of stomach ailments, and can also be made into some form of eye drop to treat children's eyes. I don't know why only children's eyes. I suppose if we all have a sore eye, I'm sure we can make eye drops out of them. But the fruits are absolutely delicious, and hence the name bird's brandy. I haven't found any on there at the moment. They're all in flower, so beautiful little purple flowers, probably some small nocturnal beetle-like insect. It does look like mint, in fact, folks. It does indeed look like mint. It's got a bit of a mint feel. And so anyway, probably a very small little beetle, nocturnal beetle, probably pollinates that, and then beautiful fruits will form. And well, then they are eaten by birds and then distributed all over the place, and hence the way it is distributed. Once again, aerocory. Very good. Oh, that grasshopper was very camouflaged. So a very nice time of year, folks, to be out with all these beautiful plants. There's a second flower just next to it, which I have delved into a few times. Seb's going to frame it for us there, just the solanum, or the poison apple. Beautiful middle yellow that almost looks similar to that of the ruffed male we saw earlier, but that very characteristic purple sort of flower arrangement, and that produces a very nice fruit that looks like, and I've said this before, a cherry tomato, but it doesn't ever get red. It stays yellow. And, well, if you eat it, folks, you could potentially die. So let's avoid eating it. But, well, out here in nature, poisonous plants aren't only just poisonous. There's often a benefit to the human body in some way. And, well, if there's ever someone who has an issue or a problem with hemorrhoids, they can actually use the fruit and apply it topically to the area of hemorrhoid action. And hopefully it will alleviate any of the pain or swelling in that area. So preparation H of the bush. Very, very nice. And, well, we're going to continue walking. It is such a beautiful morning. The sun hasn't yet broken through the clouds. The birds are still very happy with the morning, and so are we. Umgar, you're one of those blackjacks out here. I haven't found one yet. Herbie, have you seen a blackjack, eh? You know blackjacks. You know, blackjacks are all over South Africa. They are a weed. I'm trying to think where they come from. think they probably come from South America, with where most of our weeds come from. They came with horse feed during the Anglo-Boer War from places like Argentina and Venezuela and the like, and they've just invaded South Africa, but I haven't seen any of them here. The reason why we probably don't have that many weeds in Djuma Private Reserve itself is we don't have a permanent or perennial river system flowing through. When you've got a permanent river flowing through, it brings all of the nonsense and all of the weeds from the agricultural areas to the west. Yeah, to the west. So essentially the Kruger National Park stands like this, and all of the rivers come from the west, and they come down through the park. But the Umawati catchment doesn't come from very far away, so there's not a huge source of weed accumulation and pickup. But where you have permanent rivers, the Olifants, the Lavuvu, the Crocodile, all of the major rivers running through the Kruger National Park, they all bring enormous amounts of weed plants from the agricultural sector inland. Unfortunately, South Africa hasn't yet adopted the same policy that Australia has got. Australia has got the idea of catchment management, whereby they've got all the way from the mountain catchment all the way to the ocean. They've got that entire area as a sort of reserve, which is what we want. We've got a reserve like this with all the catchments coming through. So anyway, we'll get there one day in the future. But in the meantime, hopefully, Sydney's had some luck where he is searching. Let's go and see if he's managed to find some lions.
So now I am heading back towards the area where we have left the little chief relaxed on top of one of the marula trees, as here where I am at the moment, the lion's tracks got disappeared somewhere in the thick bushes in one of the dry river beds. So the network is not perfect there. If I go there, we are not going to see those lions if I'm lucky. So at least I've got an idea of maybe during the late afternoon on where they are, these lions, or where they might be in the afternoons. So I'm just going back to Osana via the Buffelshoek Dam, just to see if we're not going to be lucky around there with something else. So I'm just listening to some of the beautiful birds here, giving some calls, but those are not warning calls. The allergies, I know you are just now reminding me of one of my backups when I was a guide by the South African National Parks. Rainbow wishes, Avon bushes, when I was still by the commercial guiding in national parks. I used to have this backup. One of my backups, I was the lead guide. I was the one walking in front with the rifle all the time. And my backup, he was experiencing problems with the sinus all the time. During the flowering, when the trees are starting to flower, he was having problems with the sinuses. And apart from that, also, the secretion given by the impalas, every time impala gives it off, he was affected by the same problem. So these kind of challenges, they do happen, and to overcome them, some of the people, they deal with them traditionally. Like, we take the elephant dungs when it's very fresh. You sniff it a couple of times, then it helps in order to clear sinuses. And some, they do go for consultations. Yes, sometimes we do experience tick fevers because accidentally you meet these ticks and they bite you. You don't see them, and you only see them when you knock off when going for a shower. Some, they do experience problems with the tick fevers, but they also go for consultation when experiencing those kind of problems. So the allergies, we do experience them, but I don't have problems with the allergies. I have never experienced sinuses. And why? Because when I grew up, I was sleeping in a hut, and this hut, the floor was done by the cow dungs every time. So the cow dungs helps in order to clear sinuses, but because of that, I don't have sinuses today. And the ticks as well, I do get bitten bitten by ticks, but I don't experience the tick fevers. I've never experienced that before. And I was never hospitalized since I was born. So, Romet, I am not sure if we do have flowers that cause some of the skin diseases, but I know there are some of these flowers or the trees which secrete some of the things which irritate the skin. There is a plant. This plant, I haven't seen it here. There's few plants I know which are more like, maybe you know the stinging nettle. The stinging nettle is that plant which has got the hairy flowers, and if you touch it, then it irritates the skin. Yes, some of the plants, they do irritate the skin. So here I can smell some elephant dunks. So it's showing that the elephants recently they were here. Maybe we might meet them when we get to Buffelshoek. If not there, they are already gone past because of the weather, their droppings are going to be fresh much longer today. It's not hot, so they cannot easily get dried. So now let's go to Steve with the flowers. Maybe Steve knows some of these flowers which can cause the skin irritation.
I can't believe you've resist. So, well done, Sidis. I can't believe you've not had tick bite fever. I find that amazing. You must obviously have the local genetic sort of strain to keep yourself strong and prone from all the diseases like most of our indigenous animals do. Well, here we have got a beautiful yellow hibiscus. Hibiscus being a very large family of plant, not only in South Africa, but all the subtropical sort of areas in the world. And several hundred species, I'm sure. But beautiful, beautiful indeed. And many people will know of hibiscus tea. I don't know if this is the exact one you can use, but hibiscus tea made out of the leaves, very, very healthy, regarded as a very good antioxidant and obviously free radical cleanser in the body, which apparently has some sort of cancer-relieving agents to it. But this is a beautiful flower. We were talking about colors of flowers, and this one being yellow with a very nice sort of red center, with all of the pollen there. The pollen is the male section at the bottom, and the top little sort of brown bits or reddish bits at the top is the female. The pollen will attach itself. So a beetle or a bee will rub itself around inside there, and then going to the next, sorry, we seem to be losing a little bit of signal, but the beetle or bee will cover itself in that pollen, then go to the next flower where it then deposits that pollen onto the female parts of that flower, and then producing a very nice little fruit. I haven't seen the fruits of these ones, but very nice indeed. And you might be wondering, what is this little plant in my pocket? And we spoke about ticks earlier, and all around us here we've got the ossamum, one of the sweet basils or the wild basils. Very, very strong. And I showed this on the show the other day, and I said I'm trying to think of the smell, and my mum actually told me it smells like licorice. So thanks, Mum, for your insight there. But aniseed, if you know what aniseed is, it's the same smell, licorice. And this is wonderful for rubbing on yourself, and it works as a very nice insect sort of preventer. Very nice to keep the insects off. Winton. What came first, the flowers or the pollinator? The pollinating species? Well, that is a chicken and egg kind of question. And the debate on that, I think, is still raging. I mean, I think what happened is that the flower came first and then the insect. Because what happened essentially is before flowers, plants just used to go whoops and divide into two. And then that one would whoops divide into two. And so one day it decided to flower, and it looked beautiful and followed the sun, and after that insects were formed. That is kind of the way where many cultures, the Native Americans, they believe quite strongly in crystals, in feathers and in flowers, because flowers, crystals and feathers were once something and they metamorphosized into something completely different. So that's why they hold such high spiritual sort of value in many cultures. Most women love flowers, feathers and stones. I like them all as well, and so we're very connected with the spiritual side. So the flower was once something, metamorphosized, or the plant was something, metamorphosized into a flower. And well, who doesn't like flowers? Be honest with yourself. So I think the flower came. It must have been a very simple flower, and that would have first been wind pollinated, or water pollinated, or automatically pollinated, and then slowly over time they evolved to form something that attracted insects. I think the flower would have come first though, but the chicken or the egg kind of question there is always the debate, is it not? I think we're going to lose signal in here, Seb. Should we go up that side? Bit of a dip in the signal. No, nothing yet. Seemingly okay. We're just going to go on to the...
We are still looking. Seems like most of the animals have eluded us this morning. We were lucky with one cub and the one hyena cub. I couldn't find the lions, so I'm headed back towards the hyena den, and hopefully she's still there. It's been rather a quiet morning for me, but I'm grateful for the little things we've seen. It's nice and warm now. Like you can see, no clouds at all. So it means by noon, around 2 o'clock, you just want to be under the shade or in your room relaxing. I'm gonna be doing that, getting ready for the afternoon show. This is the last turn towards Hyena Den. We have a bit of traffic this morning. It's Mara, looks like Mara rush hour, where you meet up 2 or 3 vehicles. It's quite a lot for us. Child of the universe, how many generations can be in one hyena clan? I think I got you correct. I think there can be up to 3. 3 to 4. It can be in a clan because, you know, a hyena lives quite a long time. You know, she lives up to around 40. So you can imagine, you know, if she gives birth every about 2 years, all those, you know, cubs are part of a generation. So if it's an alpha female, then, you know, it could be 2 or 3 or even more. Or actually, yeah, or even more, you know, more cubs, more generations, I would say. How do you want me, Bungay? There? There? Okay. We just found a black-chested snake eagle on this tree here. There he is. A black-chested snake eagle. the snake eagles here, you can identify them with that thick roundish head, looks like an owl, and a crestish back of the head, looks like he's zeroed in on something. See that intense look. Those eyes have got binocular vision. They are able to zoom in quite, closely to anything that's in the grass. They hunt from one patch, and hence their name, snake eagles. Their favorite food is snakes, although mice, grasshoppers, lizards are all in the menu. He's on top of a balanite tree, and from here he can see long distances. He can hunt from here up to maybe 800 meters away from here. Is that him calling? Did you hear that? Al Ralamwa, do eagles keep territories? No. They have a hunting ground that stretches, quite a long way, but they don't have territories. If somebody comes close to their tree where they're nesting, then they'll fight them off. But I have seen, 2 or 3 different eagles in one tree before, so they don't keep territories. Listen to the call. Can you hear that? I've never heard that before. See that? I hope you can hear it. Wow. I think it's gonna fly off. Nice, beautiful, look at that. I think he was calling for the other one who's just flown off next. And they're right here, soaring, both of them together now. Beautiful, look at that. Do you see them? They are both of them now. I think he was calling for the mate. They pair for life. And he was telling, maybe the male, the female, okay, let's go for a little fly over. Enjoy the morning, look at that. Oh, look, they're having a little play. Still calling. He's gone past that tree, I don't know exactly what was that. The other guy has taken off now. I don't know if he's gonna come closer to our tree here. There we go. He's gone past the tree. So these are the black-chested snake eagle. One of the 4 snake eagles we find in the Mara. These 2 are the most common, the black-chested and the brown snake eagle. We have also the banded snake eagle, and then the short-tailed snake eagle, which is also called the butler eagle. Those are the 4 we find here, and this is the most common. I don't know what was going on there, but definitely there was communication. And then one left. This one is still soaring here. They've been here hanging around this area for about 4 days. It's only that we haven't shown them to you, so they might be scouting for an area to put a nest. They usually lay 2 eggs, where the female will sit on the eggs, and they'll vice versa, they'll help each other sit on the eggs, and when they hatch, they'll bring food to the young one at different intervals until the chicks reach maturity. Okay, I'm on my way still to find the hyenas. They're not far from here. I can actually see the mound where the nest is. Fred, which bird has got the best eyesight? I think all of them have got the good eyesight. All of them have got good eyesight. They say the vultures can see more than 10 kilometers. I've seen a peregrine falcon, sweep down. I don't know where it came from, and catch a mouse. So I don't know how far it had seen it from. I've seen vultures appear from nowhere and land onto a kill. So all of them have got good eyesight. I'm just gonna take a turn here. This is a off-road area, so I'll take off-road and head towards my hyena. Hopefully the little ones are there and we can get to yeah, while I try and get to my hyena, I'll take you back to Sydney.
I am just about to arrive by the leopard sighting. The leopard we left here earlier this morning, Osana, is still at the same place at the moment. I can see that there is even another vehicle having a sighting of this beautiful cat there. So don't get surprised. I'm just going to join another vehicle which is there already. I can see that Osana has just changed a position at the moment. He's now scanning his area. Lovely. This is so lovely. You can see, as I have indicated earlier this morning, that now for him it's time to relax. He's not going to go anywhere. He will be around the same area. You can even see from the tree that the bellies are still very much full. So he's still got to give the digestive system much more chance in order to absorb a lot in the stomach. Also, when going out trying his luck, the stomach will give him a problem because of too much weight. He won't be able to dive and catch something nicely. So I'm just trying to check around here to see if we cannot see what he's looking at. But maybe he can be able to see very far at the moment. You can see now he's yawning at the moment. So Kaylee, I didn't copy your question very nicely. I do have some of the relatives who are also in conservation, but not specifically guiding, dealing with law enforcement. So they are working for some of the law enforcement agencies. So who is doing guiding specifically at home is me. So we have just seen Hosanna yawning just now. So the cats and dogs, they do yawn a lot. And a reason for these animals to yawn is in order to cool the brain temperature. So yawning helps these animals in order to cool the brain temperature, and also it helps them with the mental efficiency. So when they are yawning, they become very much alert. So that is what helps the lions as well. You will see it's very much contagious. A pride of lions, if one of them starts yawning, you will see it going to this one, to that one, and all of them. So that helps them in order to become alert. So now let's cross back over to Isaac, who is heading to the hyena den by the Masai Mara in Kenya.
Here we are once again with Solomon. She's a bit away from the den, so I doubt if the cubs are gonna come out. You see where she's in comparison with the den, she's quite far out. I'm still positive that she is the only member of this clan together with her cubs. Maybe whoever mated her might be the first one to join her, and then the clan will be bigger. This is our commonest hyena we find here, the spotted hyena. We also do get the striped hyena. We also do get the striped, very widespread, but strictly nocturnal. We don't get the brown hyena, which I would love to see. I understand it's found in Southern Africa. I've never seen one. It's slightly larger. I've seen it on documentaries, and actually quite a fishing hunter. I've seen some documentaries in Skeleton Coast where it was killing sea lions. So we don't find it here. We only find the spotted and the striped. There's also what we call an aardwolf, who is a member of the hyena, but surprisingly, they feed on insects. I've seen quite a good number of them in northern Serengeti and in parts of the Mara. The last one I saw was a very unfortunate one that had been killed by a leopard. So those are the 4 types of hyenas, but the true hyenas are 3 in those I've just given you. The 2 are found in Kenya, the 1 in Southern Africa. Here we have Mr. Tall One coming down really fast for water, the common giraffe or the Maasai giraffe. In Maasai, it's called Olodo, the Tall One, or Armeut is also another name for giraffe in Maasai. These guys have got a very interesting behavior. They come towards camp at night. I think they've had a symbiosis with us now. It's developing where they know predators really come to camp and around the camps around us, and they are very safe there. Then they come down to forage or actually browse down here and drink water. Then in the evening, they climb up all the way to the camp. It's lots of effort, but I think it has paid very well because you can tell they are quite a good number. Yesterday we counted about 17, the previous day about 20, and here I think with my binoculars, I think I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can see 8, which means plus minus another 10 that we can't see. So they are coming down for water and also browsing. This is the common giraffe or the Maasai giraffes. In Africa, we have about 7 to 9 species of giraffes. The 2 we find in Kenya is Maasai reticulated and the endangered Rothschild's giraffe. The Rothschilds are all in captivity. You cannot find them out in the wild. The difference of the 3 is only the coloration. This has got what the markings look like jigsaw puzzle or patches. The Rothschilds is much the same, but from knee downwards is all white. Looks like it's wearing stockings. Then we have the most beautiful one called the reticulated, which is found up north. And the pattern looks like a block pattern. I'm gonna open up my animal Bible here, and when I'm ready, I'm gonna show it to you so you can see the differences. See here, here's my book. Yeah, if you see here, we have all the different species, and here it does tell you that this is the reticulated. Look at the pattern. See the pattern? My heart is blocking. Yeah, quite different from all the others. And then we have the Rothschild, which is this one here. See the knee, it's all white legs, and then the Maasai. So these are the 3 ones we find in Kenya. The rest are all found in Africa. It's an animal that is very widespread, very beautiful, the tallest mammal in the world. Sometimes I forget that it's actually the tallest mammal in the world. So these are all the species we get here. They're all browsers, and you find them when there's a bundle of different trees. In East Africa, we have plenty and plenty of different types of trees. Their favorite one is the acacia and the balanite that you've seen they've been eating underneath, and that's why they're in plenty over here. There is one, recently I was traveling northern Kenya. Corey babe, how heavy does a giraffe weigh? Fully grown giraffe weighs about 4,000 pounds. It's about 2 tons. Females about 1.7 of a ton. Males about 2 tons. So they're quite heavy. Very, very heavy. It's a big animal. I was just telling you, recently I was traveling in northern Kenya, and they think that, we might have a hybrid of 2 different giraffes mating. Somebody told me that it might be called the Baringo giraffe, where they reticulated and the Maasai giraffe have mated, and something else has come out. I did see it looked very funny, the patterns. It still has to be proven that it's a different kind of giraffe, but it means that if 2 of the species are put together, they can mate, and what comes out can be quite different. It has to still to be scientifically proven, so don't take my words for it, but actually there is a different kind of giraffe that's come up in northern Kenya. Look at these guys. All are females. I think they're heading down for water. That's the first thing they go for in the morning. But just like all the other animals, they're on the menu. They have to be very careful, trod very careful, because they don't know where the lions are. They're usually very vulnerable when they go down to drink. So from a distance, they will survey, take one step, another one, then walk a little bit, stop, have a good look, make sure there's no danger, and then approach water carefully, drink, and then get out of that area as quickly as possible. This is the scene that actually reflects this is a scene that reflects a picture of Africa, giraffes walking on the plains with a acacia tree. That's what we are missing. While I enjoy my giraffes here, I'm going to take you back to Steve to give you some more live coverage on SafariLive.
It is indeed, Isaac. That is the quintessential image of the African savannah, isn't it? Most of the guests that I had, most American or European guests, whenever they arrived with me in the Kruger Park, were always a little bit surprised at how well vegetated it was. And actually, southern Africa, this is pretty much, well, you get open areas, but it's very well densely populated with trees. Whereas up in the Masai Mara, those open expanses of the Serengeti with millions of grazing animals, and the giraffe with the sort of torchwood or shepherd's bush tree, or that flat-topped acacia, is definitely that postcard picture everybody wants, isn't it? But anyway, it is starting to get quite warm, and Seb and I are moving back quite steadily. We haven't found the one plant I'm looking for, but I did find 2 more little plants here. This one, which I've never seen before, looks identical to the yellow Justicia that we saw before. Justicia flava. So just because of the shape of the flower, the same, it's got this spindly sort of head of flowers on it. And here are either flowers or possibly even a seed that is forming. I'm going to assume it's part of the same family. So very nice to see. It's not one I've found before. I wonder, sorry Seb, I'm shaking. I wonder if any of you out there have seen this one before, and if you can actually accurately identify it for me. I'm going to take it home, see if I can get it in one of my books. But very good. It is getting quite warm, like I said, and I've managed to pick up the rich man's toilet paper, the elephant ear, the Abutulon, and Seb is feeling quite sweaty and quite moist, so this works quite well for just taking the sweat Casey, you want to know about the bee population? There's a very healthy bee population all over Africa. Africa, the wild bees out here, so many bees. So many bees, and they're all wild. There's so many different genetic strains of them. They're mixing with each other. They're living off the environment. There's so many different wildflowers and trees, and even the exotic trees that we have in South Africa form an enormous amount of the food and the pollen that our bees are very, very commonly used to pollinate, especially around cities and suburbia. And the fynbos down in the Cape, down in Cape Town in the area, there's enormous amounts of bees there that then obviously harvest fynbos honey, and each of the honeys that you can get around South Africa, I think I've walked into a nettle. I'm stinging a little bit. Each of the honeys you find around South Africa have got a different taste, a different sort of sweetness to them, and we have got a very, very healthy population in South Africa and in Africa in general, as far as I'm aware. We don't have that overall overwhelming sort of abundance of monoculture crops, so the bees have got that diversity. And also our cities, a lot of people grow bees, farm bees for honey. They make a living out of them, and cities, Johannesburg being one, is the largest man-made forest in the world. So we have got lots and lots of plants and trees and areas for bees to do their thing. And out here we have got lots and lots of beehives. Oh, sorry about I think I'm having some audio difficulties. And to just walk a little bit more delicately there. I have been stung by something. It is a nettle of sorts, but it's okay. I will have to find myself a marula and just gouge a little bit of the sap from the marula bark, put that on my leg, and the stinging that I'm feeling right now will be alleviated. Now, where will I find a marula? Up on the top of the slope. That is where we are headed to. No doubt on our way up the hill here we might bump into Sydney, who is with Hosana, who loves to hang out in marula trees.
So you can see on top of the marula tree is Hosana. At the moment, I can see that he is interested on something. You can see how he's moving the head there. I'm not sure what exactly is happening or what exactly is spotting, and I am trying. Normally, I'm trying by all means to see what is happening. So normally, these kind of animals, where they're concentrating, if I look, I know I will see an animal. So sometimes animals will be able to guide you on their interest, then you will see who is coming. Just by looking at his facial expression, how he's moving the head, and the focus of the binocular eyes, I can see. So you can see now he's very much relaxed, but he's very much worried. He's looking everywhere. Misa, it is true, the little chief looks like the prince with a throne. Look at that. This is beautiful, and thank you very much for such a beautiful shot, Senzo. Look at that. Now, maybe he's just about to come down. Look at him stretching on top. Look at that. So these are very good climbers. He's just changing the side now. You can see there now that he is again lying down, facing that side. He doesn't want to look at us anymore. So the tail is very much important for balance when he's high up there. So I'm going to have to change the position now, as I can see that it's not a good sighting anymore. So I always try by all means and give you the best sighting. I can see that Senzo is not impressed with the way how this leopard is lying down now. So while I'm trying to change the spot, let's cross over back to the Masai Mara and see how Isaac is doing.
Here, we have moved a little bit. I was hoping the tall ones are going to come towards me, but looks like they all stopped, and they are all staring. They were all staring to the right. I think because I was very close to the hyena and she was very still, they didn't notice her. But as soon as she moved, they all stopped and stared to the right. But now I think they have realized that it's only a hyena, no big threat. And so they've continued on towards me. That is one. He's decided to be the self-proclaimed leader, coming down while chewing whatever he's been eating in the morning. See that look? They're looking at us, but the height is a very added advantage. Very wary, you see that? They have to keep looking around, smelling, making sure everything is 100%. There is no room for mistakes here. You snooze, you lose. That is the order of the day. So everything has to be carefully monitored. This is a different journey of giraffes, we call them. The collective name of giraffes is a journey. Yesterday, the previous day, I think, I saw lots of females and the young ones. Here it looks like half-growns and a lot of females. So it's a different journey, this one. You would think that, they would have difficulty walking downhill. But look at that. Easy. Easy peasy. Walking easily, heading towards us. I don't know how close they are going to get to us. Gary, you say the leader's face is darker. I don't know if I noticed that. Yes, it is darker. Yes, it is darker. Thank you for noticing. Nice. It's good that, somebody's paying attention. Thank you. Very much like us, the melanin in our skins determines how lighter or darker we are. It's very much the same to this beautiful girl. She is darker. Doesn't mean that it's different. It's only that the coloration can be different. Sometimes, when they age, they can be darker or lighter, depending sometimes on age. As I continue giving you this live coverage, I'll link you back to Steve with Hosanna, the famous leopard.
So you can see that Hosanna is now relaxed. I think this is the best position. You can see that it's right where the branch is splitting, and you can see how he's laying his head and how he's holding this with the front legs. You can see those powerful front legs there with the muzzle short and strong. These cats are very much strong. Yes, in terms of the size, they might be looking small and flexible, but I can promise you they've got quite a lot of strength. For them to get something up into a tree, it needs quite a lot of efforts. And they can do, look at that. Look at those very big canines there. This is beautiful. Now he's just looking at the birds who are calling now. So I've seen something I've learned about Hosanna. This is from my own experience, is that when the birds are calling, if he's about to chase something, he gave up. Every time, he will just give up. So once the bird starts to expose him, he knows that, no, there's no way these animals are going to see me, and he will just leave it. And him and the birds, they don't really get along. You can see how another bird just arrived, and look at how he was looking at that bird now. I didn't even see that bird coming. So you can see now he's just lying on his left front leg. So he's hiding the look, he's not static. He's moving all the time. I'm sure he's enjoying. You can see he's looking at the birds leaving the tree. So those were the kwefuel. Kwefuel is the grey lorry. So in Afrikaans, they call them kwefuel because of the call. And look at those beautiful ears. Look at the ears there. What is he thinking about now? So you can see that it doesn't have the dewlap yet. So the dewlap, it comes with age. As it's growing, it will then start to develop the dewlap. And these dewlaps on animals helps as well in order to thermoregulate the heat. So normally, animals with big dewlaps, you find that they are sexually dimorphic, where you find males with big body size, or sometimes females, yes, can have big body size. So this kind of animals, they grow the dewlap as they're growing. So look at that. So Hosanna is now bringing us to the end of the morning show, and the show was packed with interesting animals all the way from the Masai Mara in Kenya, as well as the western side of the Greater Kruger National Park here in South Africa. It has been a privilege having you as part of our viewers. Thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments.